Hello, Doctor. How are you, Dr. Tendai Mhizha? Thank you so much for being on our booth today. It's an honor and a pleasure, and I know you've been one of the Amazon's leading change on the African continent for decades now, since you were very young. So, 10th anniversary, All Africa Media Leaders Forum. So it started with a bang. We had the President of African Development Bank, we had Julie Gushuru, the audience of like all the top people who matter in media, in finance, in business.
Yeah.
So you must be exhausted. I can't imagine. But what are your impressions? First, congratulations, right? It's been, I've seen the journey. I was there the very first one, the second one, the third one, and it's gone a long way, and really it's the pride of Africa. It's really hard to say that, to bring such a caliber of media together to talk about the future of media and multimedia, where we are now in this Ubuntu tribe, Ubuntu-verse today. So what are the objectives of All Africa Media Leaders Summit?
Yeah, well, first I'll thank you very much for having me here. The first thing I'll say is I'm not exhausted, because doing this kind of amazing things in Africa with Africans who are passionate about Africa, it's like a live wire.
True,
it just keeps you alive. I mean, the whole point of the All Africa Media Leaders Summit is to bring together all the leaders to dialogue together, to understand each other, and to have a collective approach to the media playing its absolutely critical role in African transformation, in African progress.
And tell me, how do you, 10 years stock take, a decade ago, this initiative started. In your opinion, how far has the media industry gone? And I know how critical and strategic you were in bringing them together to think strategically, to think collectively, to think as one, and modernize and be that voice that Africa was missing. 10 years, a decade of stock taking, what would be your...
I would say it's a completely different landscape. The people we're talking to, the kind of conversations we're having, it's completely different. The people we spoke to 10 years ago were secure, getting on with their business. Now, they're scattered.
True.
Media is democratized.
Yes.
Everybody's media. They cannot stand there and say, I'm the media leader. Even to be a media leader is questionable. At this time, it's about how do you get onto people's screens? How do you get on into their, into their world? Into their world. It's a world that you have to get into. It's not about the share of voice or share of whatever. How do you enter people's, paradigm and communicate to them where they live, where they work, where they play?
Now, talking about entering into people's world, knowing that we're entering into the fourth industrial revolution, right? And you just experienced this Ubuntu-verse. You engage with President Ruto. It's not even an avatar. It's a virtual artificial intelligence engagement and replica, full 3D of President Ruto, and you also probably have somebody who looked a bit like me, who sound like me.
Yeah, there was a guy.
Right? So
there was a guy.
How is your experience? Is it your first time, first of all, to kind of be fully immersed into a virtual reality that is powered by artificial intelligence?
Yes, it's my first time actually, and it was mind blowing. It was amazing. Yeah, maze balls. I really enjoyed it.
You enjoyed? Yeah, I could
because
see.
It was, I was getting into it. I was, I could spend the whole day just exploring.
Just exploring, right? And now, knowing that the next generation, as you can see, this is the Ubuntu tribe team here, right?
Yeah.
Young, Gen Z, early or late Gen Z, whatever you call them, who are really driving the future, even within Ubuntu, in terms of creating the world they want, right? And which is going to become an environment where everyone will be able to create their own world. Now, how do we get now the media into their world? And since Africa, 65% of the population is under 25. So what's the challenge ahead? And now that you've experienced that, how do you see the synergies? And
I mean, the president of the African Development Bank just said it now. What youth empowerment are you talking about if you're not putting money in their hands, if you're not putting resources that allow them to access the internet, to access connectivity? They need to be connected to enjoy these. Yesterday, we were there with the Ubuntu tribe at the University of Nairobi. We had hundreds of students experience this, and the empowering of them is for us to even understand that world. Being here and having the senior media leaders
Indeed.
actually get into a metaverse, they're still saying, what are those people doing in the corner there?
Exactly, right?
It's something out of this world. Yet for the digital natives yesterday, it was like, wow, you know.
Okay, business as usual.
It was business as usual. They had a fun and walked off. We are just mind blown and we don't know. So I think it's really about connecting with them where they are, understanding what they're doing, but coming into the space
Yes.
is the first step.
That's
So I
what it
think
takes.
us, All Africa, Ubuntu Tribe, putting this together is already the first step.
Yeah, the future is here. literally.
It's here. They were
Right.
saying that the youth are the future.
Yes.
This was the mantra that has been held, but it's not true. They're not the future.
They are
They're the present.
They are the present.
So we need to,
yes.
get with the program.
And since now in a society where hyperinformation, right, is ruling everything, instant access to all form of data, a plethora of information, we thought as Ubuntu Tribe and with the Ubuntuverse that creating an environment where your news and you would basically pre-design your world based on the information and the news you want. And as we move from user-generated content, which was really Web 2, Web 1,
Yeah.
Web 2 was user-generated content. Now we're moving to to user-generated content creation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where it's decentralized,
Yes.
where everyone now, where we discussed with you this idea of
Yeah.
a mediaverse,
Yes.
right? A concept where the media would be able to enter into those worlds, right?
Yeah.
Because now it's available on people's mobile phone, where whatever news is effectively shared, you use artificial intelligence to effectively go and get what you need as a user,
Yes.
you want, and restructure that information to your needs.
Yes.
Versus scrolling first article, second
Yes,
article,
exactly.
etc.
Exactly.
Right? So, and that helps address this whole question of hyperinformation, because we've reached a point where you don't know where to look. Right?
Exactly.
And by creating this whole mediaverse with collaboration with All Africa Media Leaders Summit, is to effectively put power back into the hand of the reader.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They can customize them for themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then
Right?
it becomes what ultimately marketers and anybody in a commercial world is looking for, the segment of one.
That's it. Yes, and you have a
And that's
PhD in
powerful.
marketing.
Yes, yes.
You're one of the top global experts in that field. So
Yes.
for us, it's an honor to have a renowned expert that understands the marketing, the whole environment. Now, the beauty with artificial intelligence is, since you now go into your own world, we know what you're interested in, we know what matters to you, we
Right,
know
right.
who your friends are, but the data remains yours.
Yes.
And suddenly,
Yeah.
what do you think of this idea, since you have that expertise of a model into the mediaverse, right, where a portion of the advertising is actually shared with the users?
For me, it makes perfect sense. The user is generating the income for you by consuming whatever content you have there. Why not? I'm giving you something, I'm giving you my time and attention, and that is of value. So give me my cut. You take yours, I take mine.
Thank you. And this is exactly the
You
model
know? Yeah.
we're heading towards.
Yeah,
In
because marketing, anyway, everything is a mutually beneficial transaction.
That's it,
yes.
yes.
Whatever we think about in the world as a one way will never work.
And that's really the world we're trying to build now, because in the case of Africa, right, if you look at it, in the next 25 years, 7 out of 10 child born on the planet will be born in Africa, right? And when you know also that you have those centralized platforms, Facebook, Instagram, where ultimately the user is the product,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Then we thought, okay, since you have this poverty gap and this, now ultimately your data becomes a resource.
Yes.
So since you have data as a human, why not monetize it into the media?
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
And this way, suddenly you receive passive income to reward, like you said, for your attention.
Yes, exactly.
And you power with AI to effectively bring you what you need and compile it for you and save you time.
Yes,
right?
exactly, absolutely. Yeah.
So
I like it. I think it's a no-brainer. It's something that makes sense, and I don't know why we haven't done it sooner. Somebody hasn't done it. I'm not sure. What we're waiting for.
Like that sentence, we're the ones we've been waiting for.
We are the ones we've been waiting
for. And it's beautiful
when we're here.
to see ourselves at the 10th year anniversary to now work on the next 10 years.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. It's very exciting.
And what message would you have for the young Africans who, are in a context where it's not easy to be young today on the continent, right? Because because of the lack of opportunities, the lack of perspective, etc. What is the message that you want to give them, and how do you think the media can play a role, and the future of media could become a source of actual revenue, since data is the next gold?
Yeah, I think it's about them getting involved in impact. They often get involved in entertainment, in feeding something, just attention, engaging in passing time.
Yeah.
But I would like their orientation to change to impact. Once they are all orientated towards impact, that impact should also be about livelihood. So once you have impact and livelihood on their minds, all else will follow, because the innovation is inbuilt.
It is inbuilt.
The creativity is inbuilt. But it's just about channeling the energies towards impact and monetization.
And talking about creativity and inwards, while you were in, tell me the things you liked the most about the Ubuntuverse. First, in the engagement with President Ruto and the human AIs that were with you. And second, when you were really navigating, what struck you the most, and what do you think will catch the attention of users and also advertisers and media houses who would want to participate?
I think it's the open spaces, and I think it is the ability to sort of interact with other people and meet people and pass things within there. I think that is really important. Right now, traveling around the world, moving around is difficult. There's COVID, there's security, there's very high costs of travel. It just brings everybody to an equal
equal access to opportunities. A level playing field.
You can meet whoever, wherever that a person with means can, a person without means can, as long as they're connected.
You hit the head on the nail about the mission and vision of Ubuntu. And of Ubuntu Tribe, which is create equal access to opportunities, regardless to place of birth or wealth at birth. All-Africa Media Leaders Summit and the Mediaverse coming. What the next 10 years? What do you want to talk about 10 years from now at the 20th anniversary?
I mean,
and
the 20th.
And look back and say, we did this, we did that. This is what has changed. And thanks to this.
I think that the media right now is facing more constraints than opportunities in the space that they're in. The media landscape is changing so much, and they have challenges. They're losing their market share, they're losing money, they can't find sustainable business models. I think I would like to find a situation whereby they're able to address each and every challenge and overcome it with technology. and be able to be in a space where they can monetize depending on, it needs to be up to creativity and ideas without barriers. These barriers are very basic barriers. So once you get over those barriers, you're in a space now where everyone can compete on creativity. And the best person wins, and the best person creates more value and gets more.
And you get a very good point, right? And that's where we were also thinking, okay, advertising might not be sustainable in the long run, because if all the media are fighting for the same advertiser, it becomes complicated. But a very strong thing that Google did was to automate advertising.
Yes.
Right? Whether you have $5 or $5 million,
you can do something. You can talk to someone. Yeah.
So what do you think of this idea that we actually working on with the media leaders, is to say, okay, we're not yet an Amazon as a company, so we're not going to buy advertising space everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But why don't you come into our Ubuntuverse?
Yeah.
And whomever comes, then we'll see what you do and we'll get the content, and now you have a new audience that also could pay subscription for that particular space. But this idea also that we had, which is, look, actually, you have an audience. The audience is interesting for us. Why don't we do a model where whenever they buy our gold token, thanks to you, then you get a commission?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
What about we give you, as a media house, a referral code, and you put the QR code on your online, on your news, or even on the radio, particular code.
And you're making passive income. You're making income from a connection, from a network. It's not all
and
transactional.
It keeps
going.
And so that's
it's more sustainable.
Yes. And what we were thinking is that might also be a new model of, as long as it's digital, revenue streams.
Yes.
For the
and that's
media.
what they're looking for.
Okay.
So it's a new revenue stream.
No,
and
great.
it's got a lot of passive income in it.
And it also allows them to address their OPEX.
Yeah, exactly.
Since it keeps coming, and then okay.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Get going.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's been great.
Thank you.